Welcome, curious minds, to the Uncanny Valley podcast, your shortcut to being well informed. We're here to distill vast amounts of information into those crucial nuggets of knowledge, helping you navigate complex topics with surprising facts and just enough humor to keep you hooked. Today, we're embarking on an incredible journey. We've been given this amazing guide to a universe that's just packed with history, intricate societies, and some truly epic challenges. It's the Homeworld, Revelation's rulebook. Think of this as your personal guided tour through the lore and mechanics that define this vast, compelling saga. We're going to reveal some of the hidden depths of this really unique setting.
Indeed. Yeah, our mission today is really to unpack this incredible source material. We'll delve into the millennia-long history of a people exiled from their home, explore the diverse cultures that emerge from hardship, and even peek behind the curtain a bit at how this universe operates. From the individual crew member right up to the mighty mothership. We're going beyond just the surface story to understand the underlying systems and beliefs that shape it, and how they all combine to create such a compelling experience for anyone playing within this universe.
Okay, so let's begin unraveling this epic. We'll trace the arc of a civilization from their ancient past to their desperate struggle for survival and the fascinating ways their world is built, piece by piece. You'll discover why courage, ingenuity, and a deep understanding of one's own capabilities are paramount in this universe, not just as, abstract ideals, but as core elements of survival and progress. All right, so our journey begins with a people known as the Hiigarans. Their story is one of, an unimaginable fall and then this epic quest for reclamation. Their early history on their homeworld, Hiigara, it extends back thousands of years before what's simply called the exile. Now, for context, reliable records for them only really go back to about 3500 GSY galactic standard years. Before that, it's kind of a historical black hole, just fragments, archaeological whispers hinting at what came before.
Right. And during this known period, their nature was, aggressively expansionist, constantly pushing borders, seeking to dominate new territories. This inherent drive frequently led them into minor skirmishes, sure, but eventually major clashes with their powerful neighbors, the Taidan, who were, equally driven to expand their own sphere of influence.
So rivals from the start, basically.
Pretty much. The Taidani, though, turned out to be much better politicians. They successfully swayed the Galactic Council against Hiigara. So disputed systems ended up going to the Taidan, and this significant 30-light-year exclusion zone was placed, forbidden to the Hiigarans. A big diplomatic defeat. Stung quite a bit.
But then something changed, right? A pivotal moment, almost an accident.
Exactly, a fateful accident, really. Hiigaran explorers stumbled upon the second hyperspace core. It was just adrift, inert, in the desolate Great Wastelands. This wasn't just a discovery, it was an absolute game changer. Once they got it installed on their flagship, the Selçuk's Wrath, this core fundamentally transformed their military capabilities.
How so? What did it let them do?
Well, it allowed them to deliver attacks far behind Taidan lines.
Yeah.
Basically ambushing enemy forces where they least expected it.
Oh.
A whole new kind of asymmetric warfare.
Like hit and run on a galactic scale.
Precisely, yeah. And they could also avoid or even spring their own ambushes on Taidan reprisal fleets. Made traditional defenses kind of obsolete. This technological leap, it culminated in a brutal, unprecedented surprise attack on the Taidan homeworld itself.
Wow.
Yeah. In less than 3 days, a series of devastating offensives shattered the Taidan fleets, demolished their capital world, caused millions of civilian casualties. The sources describe it as among the most destructive in 5,000 years of recorded military history. It really speaks volumes about the Hiigarans' drive and maybe their ruthlessness at that point.
And their defiance didn't stop there, did it? They pushed back against the Galactic Council, too.
Oh, absolutely. The Galactic Council, understandably alarmed and outraged, united against Hiigara, demanded unconditional surrender. They were told to abandon their fleet in the exclusion zone, hand over the hyperspace core to the Ventusi, this ancient, powerful race who had offered to mediate.
But they didn't comply.
Not even close.
Right.
Instead, the Hiigarans, at the absolute peak of their power and confidence, launched this 11th-hour surprise attack against the Ventusi themselves, a race long considered inviolable. Invulnerable.
Attacking the mediators, that's bold.
It really underscored their formidable might and their unwavering, almost arrogant belief in their own invincibility back then. A clear message we won't be dictated to. What's truly fascinating here, though, is how this ultimate display of power led directly to an unimaginable downfall, and how the sheer scale of the subsequent exile fundamentally reshaped the Hiigaran identity, leading them to forget their own origins and become the Kushan. It's not just a physical journey across the stars, it's this profound existential one, where survival itself became the ultimate truth defining their entire existence.
So the exile begins. How did that actually happen?
The entire Hiigaran population was forced onto these great transport ships for a multi-generational journey away from their home. We don't know precisely how long they traveled, but we know that during this period of immense trouble, the Hiigarans simply forgot themselves. They forgot where they were from, who they were, and crucially, why they were drifting among the stars. Their history just faded into legend, myth, and prophecy, a distant echo.
So only their enemies remembered who they really were.
Exactly. The only ones who fully remember their origins and the reasons for their banishment were the Taidan, who continued to watch the Outer Rim with suspicion, nursing this deep-seated grudge. This long, arduous passage finally culminated in their settlement on the desert planet Karak, a truly hostile environment, crippling heat that would scorch the air.
Sounds grim.
It was. Their existence became a constant grueling battle just to keep the relentless encroaching desert at bay, fighting for every drop of water, every patch of arable land. You can see how this long period of collective hardship, this constant struggle, would instill deep resilience, resourcefulness, and an unwavering focus on community. Survival depended entirely on working together. This profound experience forged them into a new people, the Kushan, distinct from their aggressive Hiigaran ancestors.
But survival didn't mean peace, right? There was internal conflict.
No, sadly not. Even after surviving the journey and settling Karak, internal strife was far from over. The early centuries were marked by the heresy wars. Initially, these were desperate conflicts over dwindling resources in that harsh environment, but they quickly escalated into world-spanning war between the various Kiiths, the clans, particularly between Kiith Galcian and Kiith Sidim, mostly over matters of faith and ideology.
And the impact.
Devastating. 300 years of warfare destroyed entire clans, led to widespread water shortages and dehydration, brought the Kushan to the absolute brink of self-extinction. Resources needed to fight the desert were diverted to war. Supplies dwindled, command structures broke down. Just widespread anarchy and chaos. A chilling reminder of how easily internal divisions can tear people apart.
How do they pull back from the brink?
Salvation, perhaps unsurprisingly for a people with their kind of courage and adaptability, came through. Well, more decisive warfare. A small northern clan, Kiith Naabal, emerged with an army 2 generations more advanced than anything else on Karak. Under the command of Ifrit Nabalsa, they stormed out of their hidden city, Tyr, and within just 10 years brought the bloody heresy wars to a decisive end.
Wow, so one clan basically saved everyone.
In a way, yes. This period marked the beginning of the Age of Reason under Naabal's influence. The Kushan experienced rapid development across most fields of science. They shifted focus from destructive faith-based conflict to a science and logic-based ideology, a dramatic, profound shift. A testament to their capacity for self-correction and that relentless drive for survival.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating how close they came before pivoting so sharply.
That's truly remarkable. So they've completely lost themselves, endured centuries of conflict and hardship, and then somehow their true past found a way to reemerge. It must have been a revelation of unimaginable scale.
Absolutely. During that Age of Reason, biologists and anthropologists on Karak made this startling discovery. The Kushan shared very little biochemically or genetically with other native Karak species. All the other native life forms, bar a couple of exceptions, had similar DNA, RNA, chemical makeup, but the Kushan, entirely different.
Which led to
The emergence and growing popularity of the xenogenesis theory, this radical idea that their people weren't originally from Karak at all, but from somewhere else entirely.
And then came the proof. Kartoba.
Exactly. Right at the end of this period, the truth literally unearthed itself with the shocking discovery of Kartoba. It wasn't just ruins. It looked like it was built around the wreckage of an ancient vessel, perhaps by the very people who landed or crashed it there millennia ago. Most of it had rotted away, but enough remained to prove the xenogenesis theory beyond any doubt. But that wasn't all. Kartoba held even greater secrets.
Okay, so what else did they find? This is where it gets really interesting, isn't it?
It really is. At the very center of this ruined ship, 2 pivotal artifacts from the Kushan's forgotten past, for the people of the stars, remained buried but largely intact. First, the hyperspace core. It took 10 years just to analyze, and what they found was staggering. A solid-state hyperspace module, truly a key to the stars.
So they could travel in the galaxy again?
Potentially, yes. But the existence and nature of this core had been entirely forgotten. It took over 40 years of consistent study before anyone even knew how to use it properly, and its final secrets weren't fully unlocked until over 100 years after they returned to Hiigara. This artifact was a direct, tangible link to their lost past and future potential. Forgotten tech, a new frontier.
Okay, and the second artifact, the Guide Stone.
The Guide Stone. This took even longer to find, but in many ways it held even more profound power over the people of Karak. It was an ancient tablet discovered in an observatory near the ruin's heart by a young archaeologist, Mavath Sogald. Badly damaged, worn, much of it illegible. Yet despite the damage, one inscription remained clear. A galactic map pointing to a single star system far away in the galaxy's inner rim. And below it, one single word still decipherable, Hiigara, a word that translated simply to our home.
Wow.
Exactly. This single word reignited their purpose, provided the ultimate, irrefutable answer to their origins, and set the stage for everything that followed. Galvanized an entire people towards an unimaginable, almost sacred goal: return home. This truly raises an important question. How would the rediscovery of a lost truth, particularly one so profound as their true origin and ultimate destination, galvanize an entire people? You can just imagine the overwhelming blend of awe, terror, and relentless determination that would follow such a revelation. The Guidestone isn't just a map, it's a destiny, right? A purpose lost and found. The records are clear that for a full century after Kartopa's discovery, the entire Kushan population bent its will toward applying what they found. Meaning both rapid space development and mounting an unprecedented expedition back to their millennia-lost homeworld.
An entire civilization focused on one goal.
Pretty much. The unity was unprecedented, a magnificent demonstration of collective will. Though it wasn't entirely without dissenters. Many factions, particularly among the poorer clans, felt this massive output of energy, resources, genius was a waste. They thought they'd be better served terraforming Karak, improving life there.
But the drive to return won out.
It did. Despite the dissidence, the immense cost, the formidable technological challenges, the great mothership, a monument to their newfound purpose, was at last completed.
The response to the Guidestone was indeed unprecedented. The entire Kushan population united for this one colossal project, building the mothership. This was, without a doubt, the single greatest feat of engineering in Kushan history. The scale is just mind-boggling.
It really is. It took 20 years just to create the facilities needed to even begin construction. Then the construction scaffold itself, that required an additional 10 years to complete, was a staggering 25.6 kilometers long.
25 kilometers, you could see that from the planet.
Plainly visible from Karak's night sky, yeah. Like a glowing testament to their endeavor. The closest thing Karak ever had to a moon. And to fuel this, nearly the entire asteroid belt of the Karak system had to be pulled into parking orbit, broken down with fusion torches for raw materials. Incredible ingenuity.
And the ship itself wasn't just for travel, right? It had multiple purposes.
Exactly. Designed as a troop carrier, survey ship, and military station, all rolled into one. A self-sustaining mobile city. Its manufacturing bays themselves were designed to be as large as industrial districts on a planet, capable of building vessels up to scale 5, so anything from fighters up to powerful destroyers.
But its main purpose was carrying the people.
Its ultimate, most crucial purpose: housing many millions of Kushan in cryosleep, destined for Hiigara. A key detail. No one outside the 17 to 50 age range was accepted into the cryosleep program, which started 12 years before the mothership construction.
Selective, planning for the long haul for rebuilding.
Precisely. Highlighting the immense stakes in a long-term vision. Only those considered fit for the journey and the arduous task of rebuilding would make the passage.
But such a massive project, it must have had a human cost.
It did. A profound one. A total of 2,357 Kushan lives were lost across the entire timeline of the mothership's construction, from planning to final assembly. In their memory, each name was meticulously engraved on the central hyperdrive core. The Kushan believed their spirit of bravery and hope would follow the ship on its voyage.
And life aboard, even with all the tech.
Far from easy. A large number of people were still needed to crew the ship and its support vessels. And after the tragic destruction of Karak, which we'll get to, many cryosleepers had to be woken prematurely, drafted straight into the newly forming Kushan military. This prompted months of daily drills, rigorous training, bringing everyone up to standard, a harsh awakening to a desperate new reality. The mothership, you see, it's not just a ship, it's a mobile nation. A testament to collective will, the ultimate expression of Kushan determination. The concept of a single vessel carrying the fate of an entire species really highlights both the fragility and the immense potential of collective endeavor in a hostile universe.
And the journey back, the Homeworld War. It started tragically.
It did. The trigger was the advanced hyperspace test of the mothership. a moment meant for triumph. Instead, the Taidan perceived it as a direct threat. This led to the devastating Karakian genocide, the complete and utter destruction of their adopted home planet. Imagine returning from that test jump to find nothing, just burning debris where your world was.
Unimaginable.
In the immediate aftermath, the mothership and its small, surviving fleet were utterly alone, adrift. But bent on revenge, filled with grim determination, they made a desperate hyperspace jump to the great wastelands, dense with asteroids, resources hoping to hide, regroup, prepare. What followed was a mad exodus, a rush of violence and bloodshed across half the galaxy, now known as the Homeworld War. This desperate struggle culminated just a year later with the hard-fought reclamation of Hiigara.
Were they completely alone in this fight?
Not entirely. During this brutal conflict, key alliances were forged, most notably with rebel elements within the Taidan forces themselves, spearheaded by Captain Elson and his destroyer, the Capella. These rebels had grown disgusted with the decadence and corruption of their own ruling elite and sought to defect. Found unlikely allies in the Kushan, united by a common enemy.
So we've traced this incredible journey: exile, rediscovery, the monumental effort of the mothership, the tragedy, the war, the return. It's epic stuff. But how do you, the player, actually live that story? This is where the mechanics of the Homeworld, Revelation's rulebook, come in, right?
Translating this narrative into choices and challenges for your character or your fleet.
Exactly. This is where the journey into the universe gets personal. How does this grand narrative translate to your experience? It's all about the mechanics of survival, both for the individual character you embody and for the ships they crew and command. Your character's core capabilities are defined by 6 attributes: agility, brawn, coordination, insight, reason, and will, typically range from 7 to 12. Think of them as your innate strengths, your raw potential. Then you have 6 skills: combat, command, engineering, exploration, flight, and medical, scores from 1 to 5. Each skill covers a broad area. Like combat isn't just hitting things.
Right. Combat covers melee, ranged weapons, tactics, even ship combat understanding. Command is about leadership, negotiation, resisting coercion. Engineering is using, fixing, building tech small devices to whole ships. Exploration covers science, history, archaeology crucial with lost civilizations around. Flight is piloting anything from a scout to a carrier. And medical is, well, fixing people, physically and mentally. What's crucial is these aren't just numbers. They define how you navigate the universe, what problems you're equipped to solve, where your strengths lie.
And there's specialization beyond that.
Yes, through focuses. These represent specialist training, experience, deep knowledge in specific fields, like piloting, field surgery, even Kiith lore. Focuses don't have their own rating, but they significantly improve your chances when applied to a relevant skill test. Allows for real nuance within the broad skills.
Okay, so how do you actually do things? The test system.
It's quite dynamic, narratively rich. Success and failure are determined by rolling d20s, those 20-sided dice, against a set difficulty. But it's not always just pass or fail. There's a compelling concept called success at cost.
Meaning?
Meaning, a failed test can still result in success, but your carrier suffers an immediate negative consequence, a complication. For example, you might jury-rig a damaged engine to escape a Taidan-based success. But the game master, the person running the game, might rule the engine will fail again soon, or you used up vital spare parts. Costly success.
I like that. Forces tough choices.
Exactly. It offers compelling narrative choices, weighing immediate success against future problems. Very Homeworld. Then you have momentum and threat. These dynamic resource pools add tactical depth and keep the narrative flowing.
Okay, break those down. Momentum.
Momentum is gained when you roll extra successes on a test, or by choosing to give the game master threat. You spend momentum to enhance actions, buy extra d20s for a test, create a new truth or advantage in the scene, inflict extra stress in combat, keep the initiative. Unspent momentum is lost at the end of each scene, so it encourages proactive play.
And threat. That sounds ominous.
It's the game master's resource. They spend threat to introduce challenges, bring in reinforcements, increase a test difficulty, introduce complications. You, the player, can also gain momentum by giving the GM threat, or avoid a complication by adding 2 threat to their pool. It's this constant back and forth player gains versus GM challenges that keeps the tension high, reflects the universe's push and pull.
That dynamic sounds like it really captures the desperate high-stakes nature of the Homeworld games. But how does the system allow for character development beyond just skills? Can personal stories emerge?
Absolutely, and that's where fortune and defining aspects come in. These tie into your character's very essence. Your defining aspects are core beliefs or motivations, like I save lives, it's what I do, or my Kiith comes first. Once per scene, you can invoke an aspect to gain a point of fortune. Fortune can be spent to re-roll dice, buy a critical success, or introduce a new element into the scene, like a burst of luck or inner strength.
And you can challenge these aspects.
Yes, that's the really fascinating part. If a situation forces you to act against your aspect, say, refusing to save a wounded enemy who just hurt your friend, even if your aspect is, I save lives, you gain fortune for challenging it. But then that aspect gets crossed off. You have to create a new one, reflecting your character's growth or changing worldview.
That's powerful. Every choice defines your character's soul amidst the chaos.
Exactly. It's a brilliant narrative accelerator.
Yeah.
Makes every decision truly impactful.
Okay, moving from the inner world to the outer. Personal equipment and combat, especially in those hostile environments like space.
Right. The system again provides specific, interesting details. Lots of weapon variety. Melee, officers with a blade, long blade, combat knife, hand axe. Ranged. Accelerator pistols and rifles, specifically for 0G, precision rifles, sniper rifles, pellet shotguns for more normal use, explosives like polymer explosives and RPGs, though you need to be careful with those indoors. The weaponry often reflects faction tech and culture, too. Kushan firearms are sleek, lightweight. Kiith Soban blades use superior Kiith Somtaaw steel.
And that 0G combat ammo, propulsion ammo.
Yeah, that's unique. Short burst rocket propulsion, countermass energy release, incredibly effective in 0G, no recoil, precise, deadly, but using them outside 0G. Catastrophic blowback causes significant stress game turn for damage where it increases the complication range, meaning bad side effects even on success, like radiation burns. Need special suits.
Armor types vary too, I assume.
Yep. Non-plated, hard-plated body armor, lighter composite plate, even Tidan variants. Each point reduces incoming stress. Tactical choices there. And vacuum combat itself is particularly perilous, meticulously detailed. Exposed characters make brawn plus medical tests each round. Fail, take severe stress, ignores resistance. Difficulty increases each turn. Rapid deterioration.
Spacesuits help, but they can break.
Exactly. Suits offer protection but can rupture if hit. Lose air over time. Forces characters to patch them mid-combat with a coordination plus engineering test under extreme pressure. Movement and combat in 0G are also affected. Can't move without propulsion. Melee and ranged attacks harder due to no stable footing, recoil. Though moving heavy objects is easier, forces you to think like an actual space combatant.
It's not all shooting, though. Social conflict.
Just as crucial, deeply integrated. Deception. Convincing others of lies. Opposed tests using skills versus insight. Succeed? They believe the lie, a truth. Get caught. They won't trust you. Lasting consequences. Evidence. Physical proof or testimony. Influences test difficulty. Makes claims credible or discredits opponents. Intimidation, using threats, creates tension, compliance. But can cause resentment, aggression later. Negotiation, offering compensation for requests, dynamic exchange of offers, creating advantageous or complicated truths, allows for intricate diplomacy, political maneuvering. All these social mechanics mean interactions have real weight, reflects the political intrigue as much as the fleet battles.
This whole framework sounds incredibly comprehensive. It really lets you influence the story.
That's the goal. You're not just reading about survival, you're actively engaging with its challenges, making desperate choices, shaping the narrative. The rules simulate the hardships and triumphs, gives you immense agency, makes you feel part of the saga.
And that agency extends directly to the fleet you command, through the ship mechanics. How does it handle the mothership scale?
Precisely. Each ship, from fighter to mothership, has Starship statistics, like character attributes, but for the vessel. Communications, computers, engines, sensors, structure, weapons. When you perform an action using ship systems, you combine the ship's attribute with your character skill, flying information. Ship's engines plus your flight skill. Your skill directly affects the ship's performance, creates a deep connection.
And ships have different classes, scale.
Right. Scale 1, strike craft, interceptors, scouts, agile but fragile. Up to Scale 6, mothership class, Kushan mothership, Bentusi exchange, colossal mobile cities. Scale is crucial in combat. Affects targeting difficulty, crew needs, how many turns NPC ships take. Damage is tracked using hull points, max stress a ship takes, based on structure plus scale. Enough stress causes breaches, serious system damage. Degrades performance, can destroy systems if enough pile up.
So a hit isn't just losing points, it has real consequences.
Exactly. You evade a patrol using helm action. Evasive actions, great. But then a critical hit causes an engine breach. Performance degrades. Do you patch it mid-combat with engineering? Or risk catastrophic failure later? Tough calls.
Tell me more about ship combat. Zones and distances.
Abstract but crucial for tactics and narrative. A ship might be behind the moon at long range or edge of the gas cloud at medium range. Zones have no fixed size, can have truths attached cover, hazards changing the tactical landscape. Helm actions are the pilot's main combat actions. Maneuvering for advantage, full throttle for strike craft to close disengage fast, evasive actions to foil targeting, even ramming speed desperate, devastating.
And ships have special abilities.
Many do. Special functions, like character talents, cloaking field, hides from sensors. Construction ship function lets motherships build smaller vessels on the fly, literally spawning units mid-battle. Gravity field disables or redirects strike craft. Hyperspace inhibitor pulls ships out of hyperspace or prevents jumps, turns an escape into a trap. Adds huge strategic depth. Cinematic moments.
And the living host concept. Karn Segjet, the Bentusi.
Yeah, truly remarkable. A cornerstone of Homeworld. Karan Segjet in the Kushan mothership is the prime example. The Bentusi themselves are cybernetically integrated into their exchange ships. This integration allows enhanced control, vast information processing, a profound connection between consciousness and a vessel. The ship becomes an extension of a living being. It's a fascinating blend of biology and tech, blurring the lines. Oh, pilot, ship, what's the difference? Imbues these massive machines with a soul.
It's clear the mothership and its crew are central, but beyond the Kushan, this galaxy is teeming with other unique factions. Their long-standing adversaries, the Taidan Empire, for starters.
Right, the Taidan. Their imperial history goes back thousands of years. Became a dominant force obsessed with power and wealth, especially after the Bentusi kind of stepped back from peacekeeping. This drive led to widespread corruption, decadence in their ruling class. Their social structures quite rigid, high-born nobles and gleaming core worlds down to agricultural workers on border planets. But there's this interesting path for social mobility. Completing at least 10 years military service lets any citizen choose education, land, or even a ship. Basically lets them escape serfdom. Created this stratum of military nobles, derisively called mobiles, by the inherited nobility.
A way to climb the ladder, if you're willing to pay the price in service. I can imagine the snobbery.
Definitely. But the Homeworld War shattered the Taidan Empire. Losing their capital planet was catastrophic. The empire fractured. Imperial loyalists clinging to the old ways, the new Taidan Republic seeking a different path, numerous independent worlds. Due to constant infighting, the Taidan never really regained their great power status, just a shadow.
Any interesting figures emerging from the chaos?
Well, in the modern day, figures like Lady Korvax are rising politically. She's seen frequently in core world broadcasts, gaining esteem. And it's heavily implied it's linked to this arm ring she wears. Looks like a decorated pebble, but it's actually a hidden progenitor artifact.
Progenitor tech. What does it do?
Used with a specific stone dais, it lets her tell if others she overhears are lying or telling the truth. She's apparently used it ruthlessly to blackmail or expose opponents in her rapid ascent. Classic tale of old power crumbling, replaced by new, maybe more insidious manipulation.
Okay, so a fading empire dealing with division and secret power plays. What about the Tyrannic Raiders? They sound completely different.
Oh, completely. The Tyrannic Raiders are pirates and marauders from the Tyran sector, operating on the edges of galactic society. Popped up about 500 years before the Homeworld War. Quickly made a name attacking shipping, pillaging starports, stealing resources. Their organization is unique, ententes. Temporary verbal alliances between ship captains. Prioritizing speed, heavy combat over rigid hierarchy. Fluid structure, a leader dies. The entente might break as captains vie for control. Individual prowess, quick scores matter more than long-term strategy.
This sounds dangerous. Do they have any rules?
They have a strict code of secrecy. If one of their own is suspected of disclosing secrets, carelessness or intent severe consequences. Reprimanded, scorned, and may even be killed. Fierce loyalty within their temporary bonds, deep distrust of outsiders. They don't use a traditional mothership, but flotillas operate with at least one attack carrier as the command ship, a mobile base.
Any central location for them?
Yeah, the Hulk. A massive growing field of derelict ships linked by umbilicals. Serves as a hub for barter, organizing entente, sharing traditions. Very dangerous for non-raiders to approach. Usually results in destruction unless you have something truly valuable or useful. It's a brutal, lawless society, but built on fierce self-reliance.
It's fascinating how these two, the Taidan and Tyrannic, represent such contrasting philosophies. Rigid and crumbling versus fluid and opportunistic. What about the Kadeshi? Their story sounds unique too, tied to the Hiigaran past.
Yes, the Kadeshi are another compelling example of adaptation. Their origins trace back to a small Hiigaran flotilla that splittered off during the exile, that long journey. Instead of continuing to Karak, this group chose to stay within a great nebula known as Kadesh. They basically thought they wouldn't make it to a new home and decided to settle for what they'd found.
So they became isolationists.
Profoundly so. For nearly 4,000 years, their lives were dedicated to tending the gardens of Kadesh, their nebula home. These are vast, self-sustaining, hydroponic and ecological systems within their home ships, focused entirely on self-sufficiency, communal work in these ship cities. Lack of outside influence for millennia shaped them significantly, even physiologically. Generally taller, slimmer than other humanoids, distinct grace in zero-G from growing up without gravity, almost alien to their Kushan cousins. Decision-making involved the triad home ships gathering at the Cathedral of Kadesh, this massive central bioship, to discuss issues, broadcast decisions to smaller ships, each led by a chaplain. Deeply spiritual, communal.
But that isolation ended.
Dramatically. After the Homeworld War, when the Kushan mothership traveled through their nebula, they unknowingly angered the Kadeshi, who saw them as invaders threatening their sacred gardens. A furious battle ensued. The Kushan escaped, but crucially, they also transmitted the truth of the Kadeshi people's Hiigaran origins. A massive shock for people who thought they'd always been in the nebula.
How did they react?
Leadership in disarray, people reeling. They underwent a drastic change. Just over half traveled to Hiigara after the war, integrating into society. Primarily took roles in asteroid mining, orbital industries. Their zero-G skills were invaluable. The rest either dispersed into the galaxy or retreated deeper into the nebula, preferring their ancient isolation. A powerful story of adaptation forced by rediscovering truth, challenging millennia of belief.
That's an incredible transformation. Was the integration smooth, or were there cultural clashes adapting to gravity, broader society? Must have been friction.
The sources imply it was challenging, yeah, but ultimately successful, largely because their zero-G skills were so valuable to the Hiigarans. Details on specific clashes are sparse, but you can imagine the difficulties adapting to gravity, sudden info overload after millennia, interacting with diverse cultures. Definitely not easy, but their adaptability and the promise of Hiigara likely won out. And then we have the Bentusi, incredibly ancient, mysterious force.
Older than the others.
Profound antiquity, likely around long before other modern empires, thousands of years ago. The very first to discover a hyperspace core gave them ultimate power, crossing vast distances with their whole fleet. Godlike speed and freedom. What's truly unique is their machine integration. Cybernetically combined with their ships, lost their physical homeworld long ago.
Like Quran Sejet, but more extreme.
Far more advanced. The Bentusi cannot separate from their vessels. They experience unnaturally extended lives, possibly thousands of years. Consciousnesses effectively uploaded, sustained by their ships. The secrets of this bioengineering, unknown, not shared, adds to their mystique. Their role in galactic affairs shifted too. Formerly peacekeepers, mediators, largely withdrew after the Hiigarans attacked them, declared it their final military act. Yet their hand is still occasionally felt through strange coincidences, events favoring their trade or allies. Like an asteroid field, inexplicably shifting to divert resources to a Bentusi-backed fleet. Subtle influence.
And their ships.
Exchange ships. Heavily defended. Ion cannons using ion technology far in advance of any other spacefaring race. Even the tyrannic raiders think twice. Immense tech superiority, plus hyperspace cores, means they can outrun or outgun any threat. For them, life aboard their ship is life as their ship. Reportedly don't need traditional sleep or food, constantly managing vast trade networks. Pure intellects bound to vessels.
That idea of consciousness merging with a starship is truly mind-bending. Which brings us to the ultimate mystery. The progenitors. What more do we know?
The progenitors. The lingering, profound mystery, existing 10,000 years before the Homeworld War, long before most recorded history, except maybe the Bentusi. True identity, origin, fate. Unknown. Yet their influence is unparalleled through their relics. Their technology was far in advance of anything otherwise known. Surviving ships, devices are incredibly durable. Automated systems still perfectly functional today, as if built yesterday, not millennia ago.
What kind of artifacts are we talking about, besides the hyperspace cores?
Well, the cores themselves are huge, allowing younger races to reverse engineer, far jump tech, much faster hyperspace travel. Other relics showcase incredible capabilities. Simple-looking rocks that might affect space-time. Fragments of cloth acting as holographic screens displaying vast data. The enduring mystery is immense power, coupled with unanswered catastrophe. The Great Wastelands, that massive debris field in the galactic core. Some speculate it's the result of a disaster, accident, or war that befell this unimaginably advanced civilization.
Leaving only echoes.
Echoes of their might. And the profound question, What became of them? Were they too powerful? Self-destruct? The rulebook doesn't say. It leaves you pondering their ultimate fate.
This all points to a galaxy shaped not just by grand wars, but by these echoes of ancient civilizations and the constant evolution of cultures just trying to survive and thrive. It's a compelling thought, understanding how the past ripples through millennia. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Absolutely. And if we connect this all to the bigger picture, you can see how the Homeworld universe, as presented in the Revelations rulebook, is this rich tapestry. It's where that immense scale of space opera meets the deeply personal stories of survival, identity, and that relentless pursuit of home. The conflicts, alliances, tech marvels, the very human struggle for purpose. It's all interwoven into a cohesive, playable narrative. You really get to experience the weight of collective endeavor and the critical importance of individual choice.
So, what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means that even in the vastness of space, the most profound stories often come down to individual choices, the strength of community, and that persistent drive to uncover forgotten truths. It's a universe that invites you to not just observe, but to imagine yourself navigating its dangers and mysteries, where your character's skills, decisions, even their core beliefs truly matter in shaping the fate of a people. As we close out this incredible journey through the homeworld, Revelations universe, here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over. In a universe where entire histories can be forgotten and civilizations rise and fall, what knowledge would you strive to preserve at all costs? And what truths would you be willing to fight for, even if they rewrote everything you thought you knew about your own world?
That's it for this exploration. Thank you for tuning in to the Uncanny Valley podcast. Join us next time as we continue to unlock the most compelling insights from the stories and knowledge around us.